Your whole creative function, wow, the entirety of your creative function lies in your complete dependence on God, whose function he shares with you. And what is God's function? To create. So what is your function? To create. And when you're not doing your function, you're talking about something that's impossible. Lena, it's impossible. God gave you a function of creating. And this is not creating, so this is impossible because this is not the will of God. And if it's not God's will, whom you share, then it's not your will. It's not your will. It's your fantasy, but it's not your will. Your will creates. You have a will that creates. I know that you've been stuck in the idea of not creating, and the idea that you have a will that can create is magic and fantasy because you don't experience it. But don't forget, you're not anybody. You're the illusion, stuck in an illusion. You're not that's going to create. That you that creates is that your mind is going to become aware of. And when that occurs, that's the light that comes into the mind, and then the mind realizes, because the light, the true self. And in that is a dissociation with what is not real. The self you've been trying to fix. You'll be totally fixed. You will be the only one who accomplishes the disappearing act. And when that occurs, what is left is what you've always been. The ego disappears. Because it never was. And you have no value for it, so it disappears. Starved. You don't feed it with God's power any longer. Isn't that amazing? The greatest story ever told. So God is willing and does share God's function with you, which is to create. By his willingness to share it, by God's willingness to share it, he became as dependent on you as you are on him. God became dependent on a part of himself that he extended so there was more creation. And he depends upon that part that he created for more creation. And you're dependent upon God because you're the extended part of God that is supposed to and has the function of creating along with God. Now, some people like to then call humans co-creators, which is okay only if in the idea of co-creating you don't think of yourself as a separate creator. If you just look at yourself as an extension of God that creates in the way that you get to create, then you're the co-creator.